You know that moment when you realize the person beside you would rather humiliate you in front of a room full of strangers than feel the warmth of your hand in his? Yeah, I lived that. And what I did the next day changed my life forever. My name is Maya. I'm 34 years old. I'm an architect here in Atlanta. And 5 months ago, I thought my marriage was solid. Not perfect, because a perfect marriage is just good marketing for social media, but solid. The kind where you weather storms together. The kind where respect is the foundation even when love feels quiet. I'd been with Jordan for 7 years total. Married for 5 of those. He owned this tech company that was growing fast. Like, scary fast. Meetings that ran until midnight. Investors calling during dinner. Weekend trips that got canceled last minute because something urgent came up. And me? I was the understanding wife. The one who said, "It's okay, baby. I know you're building something." The one who rescheduled date nights and spent Saturday evenings alone because he had to fly to Nashville or Charlotte or wherever for some pitch that couldn't wait. I understood. Or at least, I pretended to understand so well that I ended up believing my own lie. Because here's what nobody tells you about being married to ambition. Eventually, you become invisible. You're there, but you're not there. You're holding down the home, managing the life, keeping everything running smooth so he can chase his dreams. And somewhere along the way, you forget you had dreams too. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The signs were subtle at first. That's how these things always start, right? Not with some dramatic explosion. Just little shifts. Small distances. You know when you hug someone and it feels like you're hugging an ice statue? Like they're physically there but emotionally checked out? That's what it became. Jordan would sleep in the same bed, eat breakfast at the same table, sit on the same couch, but it was like there was this invisible glass between us. I could see him. I just couldn't reach him. And whenever I tried to talk about it, really talk about it, he'd deflect with the skill of a corrupt politician dodging questions about campaign funds. "I'm tired, Maya. The company is heavy. You wouldn't understand. I wouldn't understand." That was his favorite line. Like I didn't have my own career. Like I didn't navigate client demands and deadline pressures and office politics. But sure, Jordan. I wouldn't understand. Still, I kept trying. Because that's what they teach us, right? Good wives don't give up. Good wives fight for their marriages. Good wives stand by their men. What they don't teach us is when to recognize you're the only one fighting. So there I was 5 months ago, standing in front of the bathroom mirror on a Friday evening in September, fixing my hair for the 100th time thinking, maybe today will be different. Maybe tonight he'll see me again. Hope is a stubborn companion. It convinces you that if you just dress a little better, smile a little wider, be a little more understanding, things will improve. Spoiler, they won't. Jordan had insisted I come to this company gala. Actually insisted, which was rare because usually he was fine attending these things alone. "It's important, Maya," he'd said that morning while buttoning his shirt. "All the partners and investors will be there. I need you there." Interesting how he needed me when it came to appearances, but disappeared when the subject was intimacy. But I didn't say that. I just nodded and said, "Of course, baby. What time?" I wore that navy blue dress he always used to compliment. The one that hits just above the knee and has those sleeves that make my shoulders look good. I wore heels that cost too much and hurt like hell. I wore red lipstick because he once said it made me look confident. Because good wives do these things, right? Good wives swallow discomfort and smile. The venue was one of those upscale spots in Buckhead. You know the type. Crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than my car. Marble floors so shiny you could see your reflection. Waiters gliding around with champagne glasses balanced on trays, serving drinks with the solemnity of people distributing communion. Jordan was in full charm mode, laughing too loud, making witty comments about quarterly projections, shaking hands like he was running for office. And me? I was there as a well-dressed accessory. He'd introduce me to people. "This is my wife, Maya," and that was it. No mention of my profession. No acknowledgement of my identity. Just wife. Like that was my whole existence. Wife. The woman who stands next to Jordan and smiles. I tried to mingle. Talk to some investors' spouse about their landscaping project, because all conversation at these events is either about landscaping or the endless renovation of somebody's beach house. I drank white wine. I smiled. I performed. And the whole time, I kept glancing over at Jordan, hoping he'd catch my eye. Hoping he'd walk over and put his arm around my waist like he used to. Hoping he'd remember I existed. He didn't. Around 10 o'clock, the music got livelier. A jazz band had set up in the corner, and couples started drifting toward the open space that passed for a dance floor. I saw Jordan across the room, talking to Simone. Simone. His business partner. The one he'd been mentioning more and more in passing. Simone thinks we should pivot the marketing strategy. Simone closed the deal with the Austin client. Simone's flying in for the board meeting. She was laughing, that exaggerated, head-thrown-back kind of laugh that women use when they want to signal interest. And Jordan was leaning toward her like he was being pulled by an invisible magnet. I felt that familiar spike of jealousy in my chest, but I swallowed it down. Because the mature wife doesn't make a scene, right? The mature wife trusts her husband. The music was good. Something smooth and old school. I thought, let's dance. Let's reconnect. Let's be the couple we used to be. So I walked over, touched his arm, smiled. Let's dance. Jordan looked at me like I'd just interrupted a UN Security Council meeting. Not now, Maya. Not now. Like I was a child asking for attention at an inconvenient time. But I pushed. Because sometimes we insist on the wrong things just to avoid facing the obvious. Come on, baby. Just one song. And then it happened. He pushed me away. Not gently. Not like, hold on a second. Forcefully. Like I was something in his way. And he shouted. Really shouted. Loud enough that people around us stopped talking and turned to look. Stop clinging to me. You look desperate. The room didn't go silent. These moments are never as cinematic as we imagine. The music kept playing. People across the room kept laughing and talking. But the people near us? They heard. They saw. And I felt the weight of their looks. Pity. Embarrassment. That morbid curiosity people have when they witness someone else's humiliation. Jordan had already turned back to Simone. Like nothing happened. Like he hadn't just gutted me in public. There's a type of humiliation that burns from the inside without leaving a visible mark. It's like swallowing ground glass and having to keep smiling because you're in public and you've been taught your whole life that good women don't make scenes. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds. Maybe 10. Time does weird things when your brain is trying to process something it doesn't want to believe. Then I smiled. Grabbed my purse. Murmured some vague excuse to no one in particular. And I walked to the bathroom. I locked myself in a stall. Stood there. Breathed. 1, 2, 3. I didn't cry. You know why? Because in that moment, something inside me didn't break. It solidified. Like lava cooling into stone. Hard. Permanent. Immovable. I came out of that stall. Washed my hands. Looked at my reflection in that overlit bathroom mirror with the expensive hand soap and the little decorative towels. And I thought, with this frightening, crystal-clear certainty, I don't deserve this. And he won't change. It wasn't anger. It was diagnosis. Clinical. The way a doctor looks at an X-ray and sees exactly what's broken and knows exactly what needs to happen next. I called a rideshare. Didn't tell Jordan. Didn't apologize to the hosts for leaving early. Just walked out of that venue, stood on the curb in my painful heels and navy dress, and waited for my car. And while the car cut through the illuminated city, past the Fox Theater, past Piedmont Park, past all these landmarks of a life I thought I was building, I felt something strange. Not relief. Not sadness. Resolution. Like when you finally book that dentist appointment after months of tooth pain. You know it's going to hurt more before it gets better. But at least it will end. I got home around 11. The house was silent. Our house. That would soon be just his house. I sat down on the living room couch. Still in my heels. Still in my gala dress. And I started making a mental list. Not an emotional, hysterical list. A practical, strategic list. Personal documents. Separate everything and store it somewhere safe. Birth certificate. Diplomas. Car title. Insurance policies. Work contracts. Everything. Bank accounts. Screenshots of everything. Every transaction. Every balance. Every statement. Lawyer. Call Vanessa in the morning. She's been my friend since college and she's a divorce attorney. Perfect. Apartment. Find something small. Just mine. Somewhere with good light. Wedding ring. Return it. Dignity. Keep it. Jordan rolled in around 2 in the morning. Not stumbling drunk, but that kind of drunk where everything feels artificially good because you've had just enough to forget you're an asshole. He saw me sitting there in the living room, still awake, and his face fell. Why did you leave? I looked at him. Really looked at him. And I felt nothing. Not love. Not anger. Just exhaustion. You humiliated me in front of everyone, Jordan. He sighed. That sigh. You know the one. The sigh of someone dealing with a bratty child who doesn't understand how the real world works. Come on, Maya. Stop exaggerating. I just didn't want to dance. You shouted at me. I didn't shout. You're just too sensitive. And there it was. The classic tactic. Gaslighting 101. Transform my pain into my defect. Make it seem like the problem wasn't him humiliating me. It was me feeling humiliated. I stood up. Good night, Jordan. I went to the guest room. Locked the door. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I slept deeply. Because when you finally make a decision, your body relaxes. It knows the limbo is over. I woke up at 6 in the morning. Not because of an alarm. Because of instinct. That strange energy that wakes you on important days. I got dressed in comfortable clothes. Made coffee. And I started executing my list. First, documents. I spent an hour going through our home office, separating everything that was mine. Birth certificate. Diploma from Georgia Tech. My car documents. Insurance policy. Work contract. Portfolio prints from old projects. I put everything in a folder and carried it straight to my car trunk. Second, money. I logged into our joint account and took screenshots of everything. Every deposit. Every withdrawal. Every balance going back 2 years. Then I transferred my portion, my salary deposits, my contributions, into an individual account I'd kept since before we got married. Thank God I never closed it. Jordan always thought I was too foolish to think about money. His mistake. Third, I called Vanessa. It was 7 in the morning. She answered on the 4th ring, voice thick with sleep. Maya, it's 7 in the morning. I need a divorce. Silence. Then, I'll pick you up in 2 hours. 4th, apartment. I pulled up rental apps on my phone. Started scrolling. Found a small studio in Virginia Highland with hardwood floors and big windows. Good natural light. Perfect for painting, something I hadn't done in years because there was never time, never space, never permission. I messaged the owner. Scheduled a viewing for that afternoon. Then I sat down to write a note. Not a long, dramatic letter full of accusations and pain. Just something direct. True. Jordan, I deserve someone who is proud to hold me close in public. You are not that person. Don't look for me. Maya. I left it on the kitchen table. Put my wedding ring beside it. That gold band that once meant promise. That was now just cold metal. Jordan woke up around 9. I was still sitting at the kitchen table with my second cup of coffee. Dressed. Packed bag at my feet. He came downstairs in sweatpants and a t-shirt, looking hungover, and tried to smile. That smile. The one men use when they're trying to fix things with charm instead of accountability. Good morning, baby. Listen, I'm sorry about last night. I drank too much. Was stressed with the investor presentations. You know how it is. I pushed the note toward him. He looked down. Read it. Read it again. His face changed. You're serious? Completely. Maya, don't be ridiculous. Every couple fights. We didn't fight, Jordan. You disrespected me in front of everyone. And you couldn't even apologize properly. He tried to step closer. I raised my hand. No. Maya. I already called a lawyer. Already separated my things. Already rented an apartment. It's over. I saw the panic flash across his face. Not because he loved me, but because he was losing control. And men like Jordan hate losing control more than anything. You can't do this. I can. I am. I picked up my bag. Walked toward the front door. He followed me. Arguing. making promises, pulling out every manipulation tool from his arsenal. I'll change. I'll go to therapy. I'll make more time. You're overreacting. You're throwing away 7 years. But I had already decided. And when a woman truly decides, there's no going back. I got in my car, closed the door, started the engine, and I drove away. The following weeks were interesting. Jordan bombarded me with messages, calls, even sent flowers to my new apartment, red carnations, as if they could solve years of accumulated disrespect. I blocked his number, blocked him on social media. I was relentless because I had learned something valuable. When you give someone space to convince you to come back, you've already lost. Vanessa handled everything with the precision of a surgeon. Consensual divorce. No fighting over assets. We'd kept most things separate anyway, which made it cleaner. 6 weeks later, I was officially single again. Vanessa told me, I didn't ask, but she told me anyway, Simone and Jordan are officially together. And I felt something. Yes, but it wasn't pain. It was validation. I wasn't crazy. My intuition had been right all along. 3 months after I left, I was living in my little studio with plants in the windows and paintings I'd made myself hanging on the walls. I'd returned to painting, something I'd abandoned because there was no time, because I needed to support Jordan's dreams, because a businessman's wife doesn't have hobbies. She has commitments. I started taking ceramics classes on Tuesday nights. Started running in Piedmont Park on Saturday mornings. Went out to dinner alone and discovered the liberation of not having to apologize for ordering the most expensive dessert. Then one random afternoon, I was sitting in this cafe in Inman Park, working on some blueprints for a client project, and this man at the next table caught my eye. He was reading, actual paper book, not a phone. Poetry, I think. We exchanged glances. He smiled. I smiled back. We started talking. About books. About Atlanta. About nothing important and everything important. When we said goodbye, he asked, "Can I see you again?" His name was Marcus. And I realized something. I wasn't looking. Wasn't trying. Wasn't ready even. But I also wasn't hiding anymore. 6 months after that gala night, I ran into Jordan at the supermarket. Pure chance. I was picking up groceries after work on a Thursday evening. Turned down the produce aisle. And there he was. With Simone. She was pushing the cart. He was looking at his phone. Same pattern. Different woman. He saw me. I watched his face do that thing. That visible drop in the stomach. That flash of panic. And I just waved. A light, polite, distant wave. The kind you give an old coworker you vaguely remember. Because I had learned the most important lesson of all. You don't win by humiliating the person who humiliated you. You win by becoming so whole that their opinion stops mattering. There's a saying that revenge is a dish best served cold. But I disagree. Revenge is still about the other person. It's still giving them space in your head. Still letting them control your emotional temperature. Liberation is about you. It's waking up one day and realizing you don't think about that person anymore. Don't check their social media. Don't hope they regret what they did. Don't imagine scenarios where they come crawling back. You just continue. Like a river finding a new path after the stone blocking it gets removed. I don't hate Jordan. I don't root against him. I don't wish him harm. I simply deleted him from the list of people who have permission to affect my day. And that, my friend, is the most elegant revenge that exists. Indifference earned through inner peace. Because in the end, the greatest act of self-love isn't screaming, isn't destroying things, isn't proving anything to anyone. It's simply choosing not to accept less than you deserve. And when you make that choice, truly make it, not just with your words but with your actions, the universe conspires to show you there was always a better path waiting. You just needed the courage to walk it. Did you enjoy the story? If so, hit like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. Thanks for watching Revenge with Keisha. See you next time.